there was video of a dude jumping in and police running after him, and he got like someone like bodied him, someone like tackled him.
He got slammed.
Yeah, and I was like, that's so crazy because I didn't think people did that.
Could have been you.
I could have honestly if.
Let's go international. What's up, everyone? It's Americaplus. I'm your host, McCormick. It's another week, another episode. What's going on, everybody? It's Sunday, July 21st. What's going on, folks? What's going on? Welcome to Americaplus. It's another beautiful week to be alive. I'm coming to you live, sort of live, from my Betty bedtime. I'm chilling here with Shannon Passey. We're gonna have a conversation here about the differences between the cultures and lifestyles of the Italian culture and versus the American culture, alongside the Greek and the Turkish. Correct, Shannon?
Yes.
So right on. So this is like a world traveling episode. Like, we're getting perspectives of different countries and we're bringing them back into America. This is an important thing. Do you agree with this thing? Like, is it important? First of all, do you think it's important to travel as an American?
Yes. I feel like people in other countries have somewhat of an advantage because they're not as big as the U.S., so they're able to be a little bit more traveled.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you live in England or you live in Europe somewhere, if you drive 2 to 4 hours, you're in a different country. But
Yeah, it's a completely different landscape.
Yeah.
And that's valuable.
Yes, and so I think it's very important to see how other people live and cultures. But I also recognize that it's a privilege to do so, especially if you do live in the United States. I think it's important to travel within the United States as well, even if you can't go international.
Just traveling in general is healthy for the soul.
Yes.
Yeah. So you went to Italy, you went to Greece, and you went to Turkey.
Yes.
The biggest one is Italy. The biggest thing is Rome. So let's just stay there. Tell me the first steps on Roman soil. What are your emotions? What are your thoughts?
I was so excited. It's been my mom and my dream to go ever since I was very little. So I was very, very hyped. I was a little nervous about the language barrier. I'd say...
But you got Duolingo.
Yes, I did do Duolingo. I learned, like, common phrases. But I didn't get very far. I did it for, like, a month ahead of time. I should have probably done it a lot.
You should have studied more.
Yes.
El estudiante más.
Yes. But luckily, I'd say about 99% of the people we interacted with spoke English. The only time there was a bit more of a language barrier was anytime we got like a ride somewhere. So any of the taxis, Ubers, it was a little bit more difficult just because the other places we were more like tourist facing.
Why
areas.
are taxi drivers always native to the land? Why are they never accommodating to
I don't know, but honestly,
to anyone?
I'd prefer that because I trust that they know where they're going. If I went to a different country and had like a full-fledged English speaker, like no accent, clearly not a native, I'd be like...
You wouldn't enjoy it.
I'd be a little like,
Yeah.
I'm not getting the full authentic experience.
Yeah, you sort of want the weird Italian guy driving you around.
Yeah, like I want him to be speeding past the mopeds and everything.
Taking you the long way.
Yeah, like I want the scenic way. I want him using the gestures and...
Yeah. And did you get that?
I did.
Wow. So that was satisfying. You got to see old men wave their hands in the air.
Yes.
What about like the culture, like the people? Like, what was different about the people? Are they different people?
They are so much more relaxed. Like the quality of life, you can see a difference. One of our taxi drivers said to us, they said in America, you work, what was it? It was you live to work. And in other places outside of America, you work to live. So they are all about just like relaxing throughout their day.
Just doing what they can for work.
Yeah, like...
So they can have enough money to do what they want.
Yeah, like they have more time off. Like half the time you see everyone's outside for lunch. They're taking a long lunch. Shops are closed down at certain points because sometimes people are like taking their naps and stuff like that. Like it's just such a more relaxed state of being than it is here, where everything is so fast paced. And even
So was that a shock to you?
I expected it, but it was a little jarring to go out on a weekday at like 11 a.m. on a weekday and see so many people just like on the streets relaxing, buying stuff, eating, and like the food service is different. They don't bring a check to you until you ask for it. Like,
well, is that not a lot of restaurants?
No, in America they're constantly stopping by your table, they're taking things out of the way, and they like immediately bring you like your bill. But there you could literally sit there for
the bill in the States is like sort of omnipresent. It's like you're watching your bill add up while you order at some places.
Yeah, and they come by and they're like, how was everything? And they take all the plates and then they give you the bill. It doesn't mean you necessarily have to leave then. But in Italy, you could stay there for hours and they won't give you a bill.
Right.
Until you like wave them down.
That's so interesting. So does that mean that they're less worried about money or they're more comfortable with money?
I think that they live, from my perspective, they live in a society where basic needs are met. And
what are those basic needs though? Like
I would assume,
a job?
Yeah, like they have a job. There's not a tipping culture, so they're all getting paid at least minimum wage. Their healthcare is completely different. I'm assuming it's somewhat socialized. There's no homeless people on the streets. You have nicer areas, obviously, and quote unquote poorer areas, but you never see what you would see in LA.
Yeah.
And so I am assuming.
Right. Like the homelessness wasn't crazy like it is in LA?
No, I didn't see a single homeless person. And I'm not saying there's not homelessness. I'm just saying that they obviously don't allow them to be on the streets.
Do you think that's because, like, I mean, you went to all the biggest places. Like, you saw the Vatican, you saw, like, what are the places you saw? Like, you went to all the biggest things. You saw David?
Yeah, I saw. We went to Florence and Venice, and then we stayed in Rome. We just did day trips to Florence and Venice. We saw David. We saw the Venice canals, Rialto Bridge, and then in Rome we did the Colosseum and the Vatican. And there's definitely like sketchier areas where they're trying to like get you into stores or like, trying to sell stuff. But there really isn't. It's not very dirty. It's not.
So Rome is clean.
Yeah, clean. Like you just don't see.
Clean.
You just don't see what you see in LA.
Dirt, cockroaches.
When it comes to, like the homeless.
Dirty, weird, mental ill men.
Yeah, and it's sad. What I'm trying to say is that it seems like there is a different baseline in Italy than there is in America. The baseline,
or at least California.
Yes, the baseline there seems like it's a higher baseline.
So people are doing better generally, you think?
Yeah, and I know it's expensive, especially in Rome. But it's crazy seeing the price differences because my mom and I in Florence, we went to this restaurant. She got an alcoholic drink. I got like a soda. We split a gluten-free appetizer. I got a gluten-free pizza. She got some pasta meal. We then split a gluten-free dessert. And the total, tip included, you don't tip, it's included in the check, $60.
Wow. And that sounds like a meal meant to be like $120 out here.
Yes. And I was like, I never get appetizers. I rarely get dessert. I usually just get a drink and the main course here. But
out there, you're getting everything because you can, and it's also really good.
And it was only $60, tip included.
Wow.
I was like, that is insane. And obviously, there's going to be places that are going to have, it all varies. I'm sure there are places where that would be like over $100 somewhere. But and just the quality of food is amazing, and they're like the #1 country for gluten-free food.
And you had a bunch.
I had a bunch of
because you're
gluten-free
gluten-free exclusive.
Yes.
It's not just that you're gluten-free. You're only gonna eat a gluten-free item, right? Or like it has to be labeled gluten-free.
Yeah, or if it
Gluten-free meat, gluten-free water.
no, if it doesn't say wheat on it, I'll eat it. But they had so many gluten-free things. Like there was an entire bakery dedicated to gluten-free stuff, and it was stuff you don't usually find here. It's like croissants and a bunch of different pastries and tarts and things that I would assume are harder to make.
Wait, you're talking about like in bakeries?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
I've
I
never
was
heard
like-
of a bakery having a gluten-free croissant.
I have never seen a gluten-free croissant in America.
Croissant.
Croissant. I've never seen that, and I was flabbergasted. And then,
Was it good?
oh my God, it was amazing. I did not have a single bad meal. I think my least
What's
favorite...
What's a peak croissant? Croissant.
It's buttery and flaky.
Are you putting butter on it, or it needs to be buttery when you buy it?
It's buttery when you buy it. I tried 2 different ones. One had white chocolate filling, and the other...
So you had a donut.
Essentially, yes.
That's called a donut with the white chocolate filling.
Essentially. And then I had one that had this like, not cream cheese, but just like this like soft cheese inside.
A soft cheese,
Yeah.
like a cheddar.
No, just like a white. It looks like something that would be on like a white pizza at Barro's.
Ricotta.
It might have been. It's something
Yeah.
like that.
Hmm.
But oh my God. And I swear the least, quote unquote, least favorite meal that I had was literally spaghetti, and it was still so good.
Hmm.
But the pizzas outweighed it. It got to the point where my mom on our last day got a gluten-free plain cheese pizza like I did, because everyone had been sampling my gluten-free food throughout and had determined that my gluten-free food was tasting better than theirs.
So it's mom approved.
Yes.
The gluten-free
It's mom
dough
approved.
is mom approved.
Yeah, and it's so interesting because you can tell it doesn't have the same amount of like fillers.
Then America,
Yeah, so
and you can taste that out here. Like you know that when you eat it here.
yes, like the fruit is ginormous here. Like it's clearly given things to make it so big.
Mm-hmm.
My mom talked about that when she first moved to America. She was like terrified at the produce because it was so big.
And your mom's from England?
Yeah. And she was like, she had just never seen fruit so big.
So now you're reacting to the fruit in Rome, which is
Just like normal.
tiny.
Not tiny,
They have
but
the
it's
tiny
like,
strawberries.
no, but they're just juicier and they're more colorful. But they just happen to be a little smaller. I don't know. I feel like here they care more about the size of stuff or the way it looks than maybe the taste.
Yeah, here,
the
like every
nutrients.
day at the grocery store needs to be like, oh my God, I saw this crazy thing. Like, I feel like they really try to make it like
All based on the
like
visual.
high expectations of like, oh, you
Yeah.
need to see the ripest, the biggest, the fullest.
Yeah, and it doesn't mean that it's the tastiest or the best, like most nutritious. And there, well, starting off, it's difficult for me to get full because my gluten allergy, and sometimes I'm not getting the right nutrients, so it's hard for me to feel very full.
Well, you just don't
Anyway.
eat. You just don't eat a lot in
But what I'm
general.
saying is like the fullest I will feel here is if I have like a Chipotle bowl, and that's all carbs. That's like when I really feel full.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, I'm hungry within an hour or two. Over there, I was having a good amount of portions, but I wasn't feeling the grossness of like feeling full.
Mm-hmm. Were you having like as many carbs out there as you were here?
I mostly had gluten-free pizza, gluten-free pasta, gelato, and pastries. Like it was heavy carbs.
So it was big vacation food,
Yes.
and you felt better on it.
Yes, and I didn't. It's weird because I felt full in a sense that I wasn't hungry, but not full in the sense that I felt sick. Like, it felt like I had put good food in my body, and I was full from that. Not that I had, like, gorged myself on something not yummy or, like, not nutritious.
But you definitely it tasted generally healthier. Like you could tell it was lighter. It was a
Yes.
lighter substance, and
Yes.
and you felt, but you did have more meat than usual out there.
Yes.
You were
and
eating a lot of meat.
that was more on the cruise.
Okay, yeah.
the
So that's like a little part of like the story of like it's a little interesting because you went to Rome, but then you get to Rome and then you go on a cruise, and you're island hopping between other countries
Yes.
within Europe. Wait, is Greece in Europe? I don't think it is.
It's like to the side of it. I
But
don't
is
know if
Greece
it's, like,
a part of Europe?
classified.
And Turkey? Is Turkey a part of Europe?
Yeah. I think
Is
so.
it? I'm not gonna try to say.
It's like near Italy. It's like to the side of it.
Okay, but is it in Europe?
I think
There can be a
so.
country. Russia's not in Europe. It's right next to Switzerland.
That's true. I'm like 99% sure it's still in the Europe category.
Heard. Okay. So you're traveling around Europe. You're traveling
Yes.
around Europe, but you're on this cruise in
Yes.
between Greece and Turkey. And so you're
Yes.
like going back into the American matrix
Yes.
of what the food situation is. So you enjoyed the food in Rome. You enjoyed the culture in Rome, but then you're on the cruise ship.
Yes.
What is that about?
Then we get on the cruise, and the cruise is amazing. Food was great. My only issue,
But it was classic American
it was
options, right?
classic, yeah, it was like you could tell they got a lot of products like from America. And my only issue is when you're on the cruise, there are like included meals with your cruise. And those happen to be breakfast, the buffet.
It's
that's
like a buffet
open.
most of the time, right?
Yeah, so you can go and do a sit-down breakfast and sit-down dinner. Those are included. Or you can do the buffet at your own time. That's open throughout the whole day. My issue with the cruise ship was that the included dinners were 3 courses.
So you're eating, and you feel like you have to eat all of it because you paid for all of it.
Yes, and they're
And
not
so you're eating all of
huge
it.
portions. But I'm not the type of person that needs 3 meals a day.
But you're eating it because you paid for it.
And so, yes, and for me personally, I don't think I would have felt as bad. But they were so generous with, they found out I was gluten-free. The head chef came and the manager and were like, we are going to give you the menu the night before. Tomorrow's menu the night before. You star or circle what you want for each course, your appetizer, your main, and your dessert, and we will make it gluten-free. We will accommodate it.
Wow.
And it was
So gluten-free baby.
It was so nice and so lovely.
Nobody puts baby in the corner.
But I then felt so bad if one of the days in Turkey, I had some breakfast at the buffet, and then we went into Turkey, and the people I was with, they wanted lunch. I didn't have lunch because I wasn't that hungry, or like I might have had just a little bit. But by the time we got back on the boat, actually, it was a different day. It was a different day that I actually did eat. Basically, I had lunch, and then I wasn't hungry for dinner, but then I felt as a people pleaser, I was like, oh, but they have studied the menu, and they have accommodated it, I have to be there. They've made.
So you paid for it, and
specific.
then they were like really hospitable with you.
They were so nice.
And so it's like, wow, now it's like death by grandma.
Yes.
Death
and
by
so
grandma's
I
cookies.
was like, they've already made mine. Like, they've already accommodated it. It's ready. Like, what a waste if I don't show up.
Yeah, so, and you have anxiety.
And I have anxiety.
So
Yes.
that's
And I don't like making people upset. I'm a big people pleaser. And I was like, they've gone through extra steps to make sure I feel comfortable eating there.
but you didn't.
I did. I just wasn't necessarily hungry each time.
Okay, so it was just a lot of food. So I guess like the
Yes.
differences of the food, like Rome and Italy, they were giving you like enough food at a good
Yes.
price,
Smaller portions. for
smaller
sure.
portions, and then you're on this boat, which is like overfilling everything, all of your needs,
Yes.
in every avenue.
You can get food at literally any time.
It's pretty much Las Vegas on water.
Yes, you can get room service at any time.
Whoa,
Excuse me, you can get
whoa!
room
Be careful.
I hiccuped. You can get room service at any time. You can, like, there are places on the ship that are open till like 2 a.m. Like, they're very much like, no matter what, there's food available no matter what.
Which is crazy, and then I can't deal with that because that's like way too much temptation. But then they took you to Greece, right? And like different islands in Greece.
Yes.
What was I'm guessing it's like similar food throughout all the islands in Greece.
Yeah. It's
What was that like?
similar food, a little bit more meat than Italy.
Like you were eating more meat in Greece?
Yeah, like I had more, like I had salmon, like it was more like fish because you were right by the water. In Turkey and in Greece, my brother had like kebabs, like it was like more of like the lamb and like that kind of meat was like more heavily shown on the menus. But just the same as Italy again. It was like just good ingredients, smaller portions, and
Did the people did they look the same health wise? Like, do you think they look different because of what they eat?
I definitely think they look different. I mean, you can find people of all sizes anywhere, but the majority of the people in Italy and Greece are attractive and pretty slim. Also because they walk everywhere. You know, not as many people have cars. So it's a mixture of their...
They have mopeds.
Yeah. But no, it's just more a mixture of their lifestyle and the way they're eating and the fact that they do move a lot more in day to day.
Yeah. So we don't really move a lot here in America.
No, and
which is
everything's
necessary.
so fast as well. And one thing that was so nice about Italy is that they stay late into the night. Like you can get dinner at like 10 or 11 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
And like people are outside just having family dinner.
Yeah, because they're
10
usually going to
o'clock.
bed later, right?
Yeah, and so it was very nice, and I kind of vibe more with that because on the cruise ship, dinner was at 6, and that was very early for me because a lot of times I'll have breakfast, and then sometimes I'll skip lunch. But when we were going out, I wanted to eat lunch, but we'd usually eat lunch around like 3. And then all of a sudden, 3 hours later, I'm having a 3-course meal. You know what I mean? Like, it was just the timing of it a lot. Was
You're
just a lot of food.
You're stacking a lot of things.
Yeah, it was just a lot of food. But luckily in Italy, we were walking around so much. In Greece, we were doing day tours. In Turkey, you're walking around so much. Like, you really don't have an option other than to walk off your food.
So what was so now you've seen Rome and Greece.
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts about the differences in America? Like, of course you're seeing ruins and like that's not really common in America, but like what's popping out as like a contrast between that place and America?
I would say, yeah, obviously, you've got much more historical culture and everything that you're seeing. I think one thing that really pops out is you see old people out way more than you do, at least in California. Like, you're seeing a very older demographic out and about within society in the way that you don't necessarily see here.
Like they're just doing normal stuff.
They're doing normal stuff. They're older, but like they're very strong and capable, and they're just doing what you're doing. They're going to the shops. They're eating dinner. They're out and about. They're walking around. Their presence is a lot more noticeable than I'd say in LA.
Because it's a lot more like sedentary. Like someone's probably going to stay home a lot more. Someone's probably
and
like what shops are you going to go to out here? Unless you're like super duper uber rich and you're going to like some like all the nice places. And
the most I see old people here is when I visit my mom at Ralph's. I don't know which day of the week, but there is a day of the week where they have like the Burbank bus that takes 65 and over, and they take them to Ralph's and then pick them up later. So like they drop them off so they can shop, and then like an hour later they pick them up.
We got our old people on weekly schedules.
Yeah, and
weekly
they're
bus
driving them.
schedules.
And so it's just very
They're
interesting
barely
to
going
see
anywhere.
the contrast between someone here who's probably in their 70s versus someone in Italy or Greece in their 70s.
Mm-hmm. So,
completely different lifestyles.
do you think they're exercising?
Yeah, I think that just their day to day, they have to. Most people don't have cars. The transit system's amazing there, but you still have to walk places to get there. They're doing their own shopping. I think it's just they're walking everywhere, and they have a healthier diet.
Yeah, because out here you have to drive everywhere, and like
Yeah,
it
LA
is one
specific,
thing.
It's so hard.
It's one thing to think about. Like, what if there was the option to like take like a train ride, take a subway to the beach? Like, so we went to the beach today, and it took like over an hour to get there. We don't even live that far. We live like freaking 20 miles away. We live like 28 miles from the beach. And it took, like, how long did it take? It took over an hour to get there.
Yeah.
Because of traffic.
Yeah.
Over an hour to drive 28 miles.
Yeah.
And then, like, it's like, can there just be a better way that we
Yeah.
can just get there? And maybe I don't care if I have to walk, And that would be like, I've never really experienced public transportation. Like I've been to New York, I've been to the subway, but I don't really know what the real benefits of public transportation can be. And so to hear about like the European experience, like you're mainly talking about Rome with public transportation, or is Greece like pretty good as well? What about Turkey?
Turkey, the cruise pulled right up to the docks, so we didn't really have to worry. We just hung out like near the port.
Oh, okay.
But in Greece, they have, you have donkeys and stuff, but most people are walking. But what they have there mostly is like the water taxis. And so that's like really interesting. They have like water taxis to take you to different islands and everything.
I'm on a boat.
But in Italy, I was blown away by their train system because my mom and I were able, never having done a train in a foreign country, I was able to book us a train ride from Rome, figure out exactly which like train station, go to Venice and back, and then the next day do Florence and back. And it was incredible.
And it was efficient.
It's a high-speed rail. It was super efficient. It's air-conditioned. You have assigned seats. You have, like, a little phone charger port. You have a little, like, leg rest.
How long were their trips?
So to Florence, it was, like, an hour or so from Rome. And then from Rome to Venice, it was, like, 3.5 hours.
But you're on the train the whole time.
Yeah, you're on the train the whole time. There, you can, if you want it cheaper, you can get off at different stops. Have like a couple different stops to make it cheaper, and just means your ride takes a little longer. But me being able to the day before figure out, okay, what's the nearest train station? Okay, see the schedule. They're going every like 30 minutes or so. Get us on the train and then calculate how to get back. Like I was able to do it just on the fly.
That's really interesting.
And just so efficient.
And it's like clear to understand, like clearly for an American.
Yeah. And everyone,
because everything's in
nice.
Italian.
Yes, you can still like figure it out though. I learned like the Italian words for like Florence and Venice just because that would be on the board.
Is it Florence?
It's Firenze. And then... No, I can't remember what Venice was.
Ooh. You failed the pop quiz.
I know. But you also have to learn military time. That's what I struggled with, was trying to calculate what time.
Oh, they're on military?
Yeah. Everything's on military time for the train. So I was trying to figure out, like, okay, if we want to be back at this time, okay. And I'd have to, like, figure out the military time for it.
Interesting.
But me not having really any experience other than riding the bus when I was a kid to like swimming lessons, like we'd use the public bus in San Diego when I was a kid, but that was just like one bus there and back.
Mm-hmm.
Being able to go and just figure out the trains was incredible. And to get to these places in such a fast amount of time with nice, like it was a nice train. Like we were in the cheapest part of the train and it was so nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we need more of those things, like just for like utility. Like it just seems like useful to just have that available to go to because I would love to go to a famous place in like a few hours. Like high speed, like how fast can you get me to like the middle of the country or what's like a famous spot in the middle of the country? Mount Rushmore. From LA to Mount Rushmore. Like what if I just wanted to go there to South Dakota, wherever it is?
Even just to San Francisco in under 6 hours,
San Francisco.
I would take.
Yeah, literally. Yeah, you know, yeah.
I'll take anything.
That is the prime example out here. Like, just I want to get to San Fran really fast.
Yeah.
And be able to just like do that. Why can't my life just be nice like that?
Yeah. But no, it was incredible.
I pay taxes.
Literally, and everything was pretty clean, and people were nice.
You didn't really get to see like the Turkish culture too much. Like that was more pure.
Yeah, so we stayed closer to the port. That was the only day we didn't have like a cruise excursion. We had done tours and excursions on all the other days, but none of the Turkey ones, when we were looking at them, really jumped out at us. And so we're like, oh, why don't we just explore on our own? So it was very cool because you could go through the bazaars, which is like where all the shops are and everything. They are a little aggressive because they want you to come in their shop, and so they'll kind of, they'll try to entice you in. They might like follow you a little bit.
Did they get you?
We went into the stores.
Oh no, you felt guilty for them?
No, well, it was like that we knew that we'd probably go there to shop. It was like we knew the bazaars would be there, so we're like, okay, let's just walk around on our own and like get lunch and just shop and like just like really just like experience stuff on our own, like really immerse ourselves, not in a tour.
But where the tour ends.
yeah, at the port. But no, it was super, super cool, and just seeing everyone's like culture, and they were never like disrespectful. They were obviously
just
like,
demanding of your money.
They were just not. They were a little pushy about getting you into the store, but they were very like respectful of you being like, "Oh, I'm just looking," or being like, "Oh, no, thank you." Like they took no as a no, and were just like, very nice about it.
So, did you like being on the cruise because it was so American? Excuse me.
I enjoyed the cruise just because it was like a little city on the water. Like they had trivia night, they had karaoke, they had like different like dance parties after certain hours, like different, like they had like a 70s disco one night. I didn't go to it because it was like past 10.
Yeah, that sounds like Las Vegas on water.
Was very
so it's
fun.
like it's such interesting how, like, do you want more of the European experience or the American experience? And you're really on a vacation where you have both. You're like, you're totally fulfilled with shows and food and drinks and all these things. And then it's like, but you're there for like the culture and the art.
Yes.
And so it's like, which one did you like more?
I liked the pace and feel of Italy, Greece, and Turkey more than being on the boat. But what was so nice about the boat is there were 2 days, one on the way there and one on the way back, where it was a full cruise day. You didn't get off the boat. It was just sailing.
I can't do that. I'll never do that. I'll never take a cruise.
Was when it was so helpful that there were so many things to do, and you can just pick and choose what you want to do. So like I would mostly tan near the pools on the top deck. I would eat lunch when I wanted to. They had like free ice cream near the pool. They had free like tacos and Mexican food. You could like make your own.
So everything.
Yeah, and then so I'd spend my day tanning and reading on the top deck, and then later in the day they had like a spa there, and they had like fitness classes you could take, and like you could have like a session with a personal trainer. And you could do like arts and crafts. There was a board game room. Like they basically had everything stacked so that whatever you wanted to do for that whole day sailing, you could just do whatever you wanted at your own pace. And so what I would do is I'd tan, relax, maybe nap later, eat whenever I wanted to, and then in the evening, that's when I would go and do the things such as like the trivia night we really liked. We'd go and watch karaoke at night. We would do.
So what? But in terms of like Europe and America, what were like the biggest pros and cons that you can really see between them?
I've got a little list here.
Okay.
Okay, the pros for Italy / Greece and Turkey, but I spent most of my time in Italy. The pros are the food, the transit system, the prices, the like the society as a whole, like when it comes to like the homeless and the trash and everything, like all of that. The whole work to live instead of live to work mentality, and just the pace in general was just much more relaxed, and just like you could just tell they had a good quality of life despite how relaxed they were. Mm-hmm. Whereas if you saw how relaxed, like if you had someone go through their day like an Italian here, you'd be like, oh, that's probably a bum. You know what I mean? Like that person probably doesn't have a lot of like stuff going on.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's what we would judge them as.
Yeah. You'd be like, that person's probably a little lazy, or like they might not have a lot of like ambition.
They're just European.
Yeah. You'd be like, what are you doing with your day? The cons. Air conditioning. I was fortunate enough to be in hotels that had air conditioning. I think for the majority of places now they have air conditioning. However, there are places that don't. And it got very hot. My mom and I were
Beware of no air conditioning.
Our first day was one of like the hottest days. It was like a new heat record for Rome. And
88 degrees.
It was like 90 something, but the humidity was like 70%. Like it was so humid.
Wow.
And so it was very hot. We were walking around and
sounds sticky.
We had to like only certain shops had AC, and so we'd have to be like, oh, let's go in here. And eventually when I was trying to get a taxi,
we have to go into the Gucci store. It's the only place with AC.
At one point, the only place with AC was this hotel near us. And we went and sat in their lobby to call a taxi because it was taking so long to get a taxi because we were right by the Trevi Fountain. And so it was super, like, populated and everything. But, like, it was just so hot.
Why didn't you just jump in the fountain?
It's illegal.
Why is it illegal?
You can't get in the fountain. It's
to like cool off on a hot day?
No, it's like a historical. It's like
a public area.
It's a protected landmark.
It's a public area.
In theory, yes.
Protected for your rights.
Yeah, but it's protected from people getting in it.
For your bodily.
There was a thing on Twitter, literally 2 or 3 days after we had visited the Trevi Fountain, there was video of a dude jumping in and police running after him. And he got like, someone like bodied him. Someone like tackled him.
He got slammed.
Yeah. And I was like, that's so crazy because I didn't think people did that.
Could have been you.
I could have, honestly, if it had been like, if I had gotten really dizzy, I probably would have been like, I'm getting in this.
You didn't like drink a little bit of it?
No.
Why not? Like you didn't, did you do anything? Did you do the penny?
No, I didn't even do the penny. I know.
You didn't make a wish at the fountain?
I didn't have any coins with me.
Oh my God.
I just had my
So it's
my
a
card.
cashless society, which is...
No, other people can. Like, other people did, but I just had my card with me. It was my first day there.
I can't believe you didn't make a wish. You didn't tell me that.
I know.
The whole reason you went was so that you could be like Liz McGuire.
I know.
And then you didn't make a wish.
I know. I, like, made one in my mind, but I didn't throw a coin in.
That's not a wish.
Yeah, but, like, God heard it, so, like...
That's a prayer. And that's not what you went there for. You didn't go there to pray. It's not Israel.
I don't know. But I did at the Vatican get holy water.
What do you mean you got it? They gave it to you?
They have holy water coming out of this like fountain.
You said you were
in. And you can touch the holy water. It just like drips down.
Wait, well, from what?
And there's like this like fountain of holy water.
Like a man-made that's like it's like a little water feature at the Vatican?
Inside, yeah, and it has holy water and it just like drops down and people put their hand in and they like rubbed it on their face. And so my mom and I got it and we like rubbed a little on our face and then we did like the little like cross thing even though we're not Catholic. We're like people are
You
doing
do that in general.
I do.
You do that when we
There's-
pass a dead rat.
There's something comforting about crossing yourself. I don't know. I have OCD, okay, people?
So Rome was like peak. Rome was peak religious AC. What's the you and your mom have like these little like religious tics. And so now
Yeah.
you're seeing the roots of all those religious tics. You're in
Yeah.
the motherland of all those
Yes.
of the guilt.
Yes.
That's where the guilt originates.
Yeah, and I'm sure that there's AC in many places, but there were some places that didn't have it, and we were like, "Oh, thank God, we found places that did have AC." Another con is the variety. So when you go into a store there, like just a general store, they have like one or two of each item. So it is interesting when you come back to the United States and like just
What do you mean
cereal-
one or two? Like different options of like brands, or like
Yeah.
they literally only have two things on the shelf?
No, like of the brands. Like they might have two different types of crackers. They might have two or three different brands of these cookies. They might have like all of just this one water. Like the variety of brands compared to like the cereal aisle in America. You have an entire cereal aisle.
They have two cereals.
And they had, a few of each product on the shelf, a few
Right, just
brands.
less.
Yeah. And so I was like, that is an interesting thing. I am very used to having so many choices.
Yeah, like we have like how many peanut butter options do we have? Like
Yes.
12 or 15?
And so I don't know if it's quite a con. It's a personal con for me. Some people might not like
Because you're looking for color scheme, you want branding, you don't care about seed oils, you don't care about
It's not that I just like to have the options.
you just want the options in front of you.
Yeah, I can't eat the majority of them, but I want to know I have the option in case I do.
And the lack of options makes you feel like you're not in control.
It's not that. It's just, I don't know. I think if I was able to eat everything, like if I didn't have a gluten allergy and they only had like 2 or 3 options of each like staple, I'd be like, oh, I kind of want like to try more, I don't know. It might get a little boring.
Right. It's interesting.
Yeah, I kind of like the absurd variety America has.
So you enjoy that. You want more variety. You want
I like having the
Doritos Cool
option.
Ranch G.I.
Yeah.
Joe edition
All
with
the
a
different flavors.
spike
yes.
of lime.
Yeah, like I love the variety. I love in the summer when they do like the chip flavor competition and people write in a new chip flavor, and for like a couple months you can have like a wild chip, a Lay's chip flavor.
Oh yeah, I've heard something about that, but I've never done that.
Like
I've never
something
tasted
about
it.
that is just like,
Like we can make a flavor out of anything.
yeah, it's just satisfying.
I
might miss
guess
that.
from like a laboratory scientific perspective, I guess.
Yeah.
Like we can make any flavor.
Yes.
We can make
but
you
I
eat
think
anything.
If I lived in a place that never had that, I think I might grow homesick of certain flavors.
Like what? Nacho cheese?
No, like I don't know. They do like wild, like I don't remember what it was called, but just like the different chip flavors.
Zebra cake spice?
Yeah,
Birthday cake?
but yeah, just the variety is very nice here.
Mm-hmm.
Another one at the, it's hard to say con, but I was talking to my brother and he was in the Air Force and he did multiple tours in the Middle East, and I was talking to him about it, and I was agreeing with him about I could see this too in different countries. The morale is so different. He was like, it's so nice to go to other countries and explore. He's like, but one thing you do start to miss about the United States is that everyone has this like spirit of like the American dream. Like everyone has this energy of like they could wake up tomorrow and like their life could be completely changed and they could have like any amount of success they want. And in other places, they don't necessarily have that anything can happen American dream, like dreamer morale. There are some people in different countries that just kind of accept what is and don't necessarily, maybe foolishly in America, have that like anything can happen. I I could grow up in one economic status and in 20 years be a millionaire. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's definitely more hope here. There's more.
Yeah, there's just a
The
certain
narrative
morale.
of opportunity is here.
Yes, it's like an opportunity morale. And it doesn't mean that the people there don't have like great spirit and everything. It just means that they're a little more content. They're not as like aggressively hungry for the American dream.
Did that make you want the American dream more? Like, did that inspire you to be more American in that sense of like,
Yeah.
my life can be different, or I'm happy, like because like you do have so many options in America to be successful. You
Yes.
have, no matter like, there's so many stories. No matter what your story is, there's always a story of someone making it, going through hard times in America, and like continuing to fight and like find a way and to believe in themselves. Like that story is American. You know, I've never seen a rags to riches story. Like there, every country has a rags to riches story, but like it seems so tied to America right now.
Yeah.
And that I think is very unique, and it's interesting how your brother sees a lack of that idea.
Yeah, and like he was gone for like a year tour in different places, like a few different times, did a few tours, and that is one thing he said is like you do kind of miss this like camaraderie spirit of like America.
I'm gonna start a business, you know, I can do anything I want.
Yeah, like this like literally you can do anything you want is a very Western mentality, I feel like.
Yeah. And that's healthy, you think?
To a certain extent. I think there's maybe the other cultures might be a little more realistic, but I would prefer personally to live in a place where everyone is trying to be their best selves and reach their goals than to be in a place where I don't have that feeling, or the feeling of like I wouldn't want to live in a place where I felt content, but not only content, but like not I don't know if not motivated, but you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to live in a place where people are so content that they're not willing to challenge things.
Yeah. There is this like rebellious spirit in America that can really rub off on you no matter what job you do or something. Like, you're always going to be a little rebel, or you're always going to try to, like, this company can be better.
Yeah.
There's always, like, someone's always saying that. Someone's always, like, critiquing because of, like, I don't know, like, because they think the world can be better.
Yeah.
The situation can be better. Everyone's saying that out here.
And then my last con is, I know I said about how amazing the transit is, but I did miss having the control of driving.
You like driving now?
So I like driving. I want to have the option of reliable and speedy transit, but I do also want to have my own car. Like, I don't like solely relying on the transit system. I think I would get sick of that after a bit. I think I would want to also have the option to drive, which obviously you can. They drive pretty wild there, though. Might be a little scared to drive, but I wouldn't want to just depend on the transit system.
Right.
I do like having the freedom to drive and just go anywhere, you know.
Right.
Even just driving around and just like figuring out where you want to go is fun.
Cars are fun. Like, people criticize cars. Excuse me again. You know, having a car is fun.
Yeah.
It's fun to have a car. It's fun to go on a road trip. It's fun to, like, be able to just, like, have, like, a little, like, people treat their cars like a little mini home. You know, it's interesting, and it's cute, and it's cozy, and, like, you can make it what you want it to be.
Yeah.
And so the car culture is very, like, it's changed. There used to be a car culture of, like, it was just like, it was a culture of innovation, and then it was a culture of leisure, culture of getting away and driving anywhere you can, and then it just became a utility.
Yeah.
And now it's sort of like an expression.
Yeah, and based where you live, a necessity.
The way you drive is, like, really based off of where you live.
Yeah.
And how you,
But
and an expression of how you live.
Yeah, and I did notice with the trains that I was constantly looking at my phone to make sure that we weren't going to miss it. Like, I do like the freedom you have with your car of leaving when you want and arriving someplace when you want and having the luxury to stay as long as you want someplace before leaving versus me having to make sure we got back to the train station a certain amount of time before it left.
Yeah, you want to be on your clock, not someone else's. That's really interesting, Shan.
Yeah.
Did you have anything else? Any other value? Like, what else did you want to share? We got a bunch. We have a boostagram to read and talk about. You wanted to come on here and share your experience, and oh, my headphones just died, or my headphones are about to die. I thought my system just crashed, but no, it was just my headphones. You wanted to come on here and express the differences and the pros and cons. Is America the best place on earth, or are these other countries better?
I don't think I could say one is like absolute better than the other. I think that there are pros and cons to each place. I think that some places shine in different ways, and America shines in its own way.
She's running to be a global politician, everybody. That's Shannon Passey.
I just want every place to have fun.
She wants world peace and for everyone to have... She wants world peace and for everyone to have the same opinion, possibly, if everyone agrees on it.
I want everyone to be happy.
Thank you for that value, Shannon.
But no, I loved Italy. I highly recommend traveling if you ever get the opportunity to. Just experiencing different cultures, and no, I loved it. There's definitely pros and cons to each place, and some people may prefer other places over America, and some people may be like, I can't wait to get back to America. But I think everywhere is just incredible.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
So Europe is valuable, Rome is valuable.
Yeah.
America is valuable.
Yes.
Cultures are valuable.
Yes, travel and culture are very valuable.
People are valuable.
Yeah.
Valuable. Life is valuable.
You just feel more connected to the people.
Yeah.
Just people in general.
Yeah. I want that too.
Because it's not just like this like far off place you've never been to anymore. You're like, oh, I've been there. I know somewhat of those people.
I know the beeline.
Yeah. But like when like cultural things happen, it's like it hits a little more close to home because you're like, oh, but I've been there. I have experience there. I know those people there.
You've sweat there. You've pissed there.
Cried there.
You ate cheese there.
I threw up there from a migraine.
Did you really?
I did. I had a migraine and I threw up, I think, the first morning.
Wow.
I'm one with the people.
One with the people. We're going to head on into the value for value section, folks. Shannon, if you didn't know, Americaplus is a value for value show. What that means is I bring up the content that I think is interesting for a more beautiful world that my heart knows is possible. Try to talk about positive things. Try to identify unhealthy things and bring forward the healthy stuff. So we just keep doing that. Last week, people are commenting on last week. I was talking about the assassination attempt for Donald J. Trump that failed. I went on a little haywire, and people sent in some value, their treasure. This is the treasure portion of value for value. You can send it in through multiple ways, through time, talent, or treasure. Just by you listening, that's your talent. Like that. Just thank you for listening. The listens have been like dropping a little bit because of summer.
Oh yeah.
And possibly because I'm uninteresting. No. But the views have been dropping, so I just like thank you to anyone sending in a boostagram on Fountain. By the way, info valueforvalue.info and Fountain.
Go to value4value.info for more info, then download the Fountain.fm app. It's the best way to support the show.
Valueforvalue.info is a website where it describes the entire model, what we're trying to build here at Americaplus. Every podcast that uses Value for Value is able to do it in like their own way with their own community. And so I'm trying to just build a relationship with you. If you have anything to share about your world travels, about your opinions on Europe, socialized medicine, presidents, anything not controversial like that, you can chime in on the Fountain app, or you can send in some PayPal money if you want to use PayPal. And you can support me monetarily while sending a message. And I'm reading a boostagram from Fountain. I got one of them from last week. This one is coming from @Saint and Sats. What did he have to say about me talking about Donald Trump? He sends in 500 Satoshis. Oh, that's the other thing about value for value. You're sending me small bits of Bitcoin called Sats, Satoshis. It's like a whole different money system, which is it's being discussed right now in the podcasting 2.0 space. We might be moving away from Bitcoin, or we might be changing the primary base of how we exchange value monetarily. It's very interesting. But we're keeping Bitcoin, but like Bitcoin's changing, or podcast, like something's not working. Like it's very interesting right now. But anyway, Saint and Sats, they wanted to send him 500 Satoshis, and because he's a Bitcoiner, and he says, "Love the positivity in this episode." Thank you, Saint and Sats.
Boosting is loving.
And now, as the French say, it is time for le boost.
I went for a really positive vibe last week when it came to talking about Trump almost dying. And I hope people vibed with it, you know. It was just a raw reaction. We're living in crazy times, and I have my own opinions about what's going on, and I try to be positive about these things. Shannon, do you have any comments on my positivity from last week?
No, I feel like you did a good job. I feel like a lot of stuff was like very negative online, just all around. There's just a lot of like negativity and fear and everything. So I think that you talked about it in a positive way and just what you were seeing and feeling.
It's just wild, you know. Don't really have anything to add. So many podcasters are like jumping on this boat. Like it's so easy to make content around it, and it's like I'm having an instinct of like I don't really want to say anything about it, or like I just want to say what I want to. Like I want to say a minimal amount of things on it.
I personally never want to talk about politics like outwardly with people, like
ever in private or public.
I just don't like to.
In private or public? Both?
Yeah, I just...
So you just don't like politics?
It's just... It gets everyone in such a negative headspace nowadays, and it's difficult.
Which is why I was trying to be positive.
Yes, and so I'm glad that you were able to talk about it in a positive way.
Yeah. So, Saint and Sats, thank you very much. Thank you to him and whoever wanted to donate. Some people streamed in money. Who else is here, dude? Anyone else here? Nope, just one old thing. Yeah, if you want to donate to the show, the money goes to me. You know, I'm paying for a hosting site. I'm living a life, and it's my goal to, you know, sort of live off of podcasting and making content, and you know, just having a name for myself when it comes to health and bigger ideas for the world, better ideas for the world. I'm just trying to grift on a more beautiful world. I'm telling you, the world is not ending, and that's why you should give me money. A part of Value for Value is also I'm able to play music on the podcast legally, and I can split payment with the musician, which is like the biggest innovation in the whole Value for Value space. Would you say the same thing, Sharon?
Yeah.